Stakeholder.
In gambling, an independent party with whom each of those who make a wager deposits the money or counters wager.
A person with an interest or concern in something, especially a business.
In emergency management, any person or entity with a vested interest in the survival and recovery of a given community. You.
Welcome to Stakeholder Prepping.
Welcome back to Stakeholder Prepping, where you, yes, you, are the stakeholder in your own survival. We are your hosts. My name is Chris.
And I'm AC. And today we have a friend of the show and a guest, Billy, from Hawaii, who was actually present and there for the Lahaina fires, and then more recently, the Russian earthquake that caused the tsunami warning. So Billy's kind of our boots on the ground, firsthand witness of government response and real world emergencies that have happened recently. We talk so much about Katrina and the Haiti earthquakes and things like that, but these are things that happen in the United States recently. And we've got a firsthand eyewitness here for that. So that's really cool. Thanks, Billy, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Billy, you and I have been friends for a really long time. But our audience doesn't really know you. So what would you say is kind of the 5-minute Billy bio? What is your 5-minute elevator pitch to kind of describe to people who you are, what you've done, and why your experience is so valuable to what we're trying to do and portray that prepping message as a positive one?
Well, was born and raised on Maui, and then went to school in Oregon, and then came back home, did the tourist circuit for a bit, and then joined the military as a services troop, which was food, fitness, lodging, and mortuary affairs. And then after that, went to Seattle, putzed around a bit, and then used my GI Bill to go to Texas to become an EMT. My passion was not so great for that, so I'm like, I'll go back to food. And then after that, my mom's like, "Hey, come back home. I'm getting older." I'm like, "Fine." So I moved back to Maui after that, and have been here since 2015, 16-ish.
Okay, very nice. So kind of born and raised in Maui, went off, did the military thing, pursued your own passions, and then family. We've got all
Yes.
got those family ties, brings you back home.
Yeah.
How are mom and dad doing? Are they
They're
groovy?
good. They're good. They're getting elderly, so it's like, I need to become an adult now. So, yeah, we're at that stage in life.
And that definitely has to fall into your prepping plan, because if they're relying on you, you have a lot more weight on your shoulders. We know that you were a witness to the Lahaina fires, and you were a witness to the tsunami evacuations. And I mean, in Hawaii, you've got constant threat of earthquake, uh, power outage from earthquake. You've got the threat of volcanoes. You've got tsunami threats. You're kind of an all hazards area. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
kind of deal with that? What's on your risk matrix?
Well, the thing is, it's like ever since I was a kid, we've always had hurricane warnings and drills, tsunami drills, things of that nature since, kindergarten. So when it comes to emergencies and when they come as warnings or advisories, we just think of it as, hey, another advisory. It's fine. So I guess that was sort of like the take during the beginning of the fires. It's like, it's nothing right now. But yeah, it wasn't nothing.
Does it seem like you guys do you kind of get warning fatigue there living on the island?
Yes, because it's like there's so many things that we've been taught where it's like you need to go ahead and evacuate from these points and so on and so forth. And it's like after so many false alarms, you're like, I don't know if this is real this time.
So yeah, thinking about that, then it could just be another slow moving lava flow or a luau that got
Right.
out of hand or something like that. And then all of a sudden it's something serious. So thinking back to that, to the Lahaina fires, what surprised you the most about that specific disaster then? Were there things you thought you were prepared for and then it just turned out to be a completely different reality?
Yeah. because it just on Maui, um, we have a saying: if the garbage dump isn't on fire, then it's not summertime. So it's like it's we have fires. We have lots of fires. We always have like text message warnings that there's a brush fire on this road, that road, and so on and so forth. But they always get contained super fast because I guess most of our fire departments here are extremely used to mini wildfires. So a lot of us just take it into like, oh, another thing kind of approach.
So at during the Lahaina fires, what point did it kind of register that this was different? This is not something to joke around with. We need to take these warnings super seriously. Like what was kind of that tipping point?
See, the thing is, this time around, we didn't get any warnings. No radio, no text messages, nothing. And it's like usually we've been taught so much that once we hear the sirens, then take stuff seriously. And none of that happened. None of the safety nets that we were always taught that were there didn't happen. So that was the scary part was like everyone is trying to find information, but since no officials were saying, "Hey, be ready to bug out," or bug in, etc., none of that happened. So when the wind started to like really pick up and the smoke started to go all around the island, and then this time was different because the winds were just acting really weird. And it was like, hey, the patterns are off. And then so once you started to see soot falling from the sky and started to smell like um hot garbage, hot burning garbage, that's when we can tell it was really serious because this smoke has never been thick like that
Wow. So when the island starts to smell like Arby's, then you know it's a real problem.
before. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so were there any warning signs leading in like the days leading up to that, or was this literally like, hey, immediately it's time to go and something really bad has already happened? Or were there any kind of red flags in hindsight that you're looking back now and saying, you know what, I think I could have seen that coming?
Actually, there was no real hindsight, see that coming kind of stuff. It was what we were all shown was there's a storm off the on the east side of the state, and all that was told to us. And then wind advisory, and whenever we get wind advisory, it's like tie down your umbrellas and stuff like that. So that was the only kind of warning we got. So it seemed like like an average Tuesday. It wasn't. There was no real um fear.
That's insane because with zero warning, I mean, once it kind of clicked over in your brain, hey, this is an actual problem and something needs to happen. What were your actions? What did you do with the fires?
So the initial fires were in Lahaina, but the embers started to travel everywhere else. So I was on the other side of the mountain, but the embers came to that side and it started to rain down, and then pockets in forests and neighborhoods started to like just kind of slowly pop, just kind of like smoky here, smoky there. And then like when you watch a barbecue thing slowly like spread out, it was like that. You could see it in the land and you're like, okay, that's different. That's very different. So in your mind is like information, 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 information. No radio, nothing. Yeah, I turned on 99.9, and it's like, hey, we're playing Adele right now, so nothing's going on. So until TikTok, I started to like scroll through TikTok, and then people posting about being stuck on Front Street and not knowing where to go. That's when information started to spread like wildfire. Uh,
No
um,
pun intended, but
Yeah.
no pun
intended.
intended. Yeah.
Wow.
So everyone started like posting on their Facebook, on their TikToks, just all the individual things, and then you could see like people pulling out their water hoses. And what was scary was a lot of people. Did you know if a lot of people use water at the same time, pressure dies?
Right. Yeah. If you're all on a shared source, that's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like all these people with their garden hoses all of a sudden were SOL. And then that's when people started to like really, really panic, get in their cars, pack everything up, and then the winds just got fiercer and fiercer, and it just the wind was coming like this. So when
Kind
that
of at
was
a
happening,
downward angle off the mountain, or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay,
So when that was happening, then all these old the old part of Lahaina was just on fire. I'm like, I used to grow up there, so I was like, whoa. But yeah, the wind was just something I've never experienced before.
okay. So, did you try to evacuate? Did you try to shelter in place? Like, what did you actually do once you realized it was a danger situation?
I started to do the emergency packing. So I'm like, okay, I'll get my dog stuff, I'll get my things. Medicine is important, so I started to like grab everything from my medicine cabinet and all that stuff. So I had everything ready to go, and then I also forgot. I mean, I wasn't living with my parents at the time. I was living at like about 10 minutes away, and so my thought process was as soon as I get the actual like evac notice, then I'm just gonna like haul ass towards my parents' house and shelter over there. And then so I was ready. I was ready because since COVID, it was like I have everything that I need and I know what I've prepared for. So if I need to like really haul ass, I have what I have and I can just like
So,
bounce.
so you said you were waiting for those evacuation orders. How much later did those evacuation orders from the emergency management side show up? Like, how much later did those show up than they probably should have? How much longer did it take them to tell people to go? Like, in your opinion?
It was in the early morning hours. As soon as more and more videos started to like pop up, and like small towns and basically island life, everyone's connected somehow through social media and whatnot. So everyone was sharing what they were witnessing. And so when once that started to happen, then we started to like hear things from the state. And then after that, like precautions and then the radio finally started giving us warnings. So after that, after hours and hours of things happening, then then it started to actually the emergency management actually started to do stuff,
That's
warnings.
crazy to me that you were finding out on TikTok, like people doing little dances in the street or whatever happens on TikTok
Right, right.
before the news or emergency management. Did the emergency broadcast system eventually take over a lot of the media there, or did that never happen?
It did after that. We started to finally get like the um the emergency text messaging, and then you can turn on the radio, you can turn on TV, and then people are actually talking about it. And then yeah, it took hours for that to actually
Do you feel like any of that had anything to do with trying to not, you know, drop another false nuke on Hawaii? Because I know you guys got that notification a long time
Yeah,
ago.
that was a good 9 a.m. wake up call for me. Yeah, it was like that. See, the thing is, it was weird because when the nuclear thing happened, they didn't talk about it on the TV. There was no sirens, no nothing. So we're so used to false alarms that I guess that's how it kind of felt with the other stuff. So, but until the people posting, that was when things started.
And where did they tell people to go? I mean, Maui's not that big of a place. So was there I don't know, a fairground or a stadium, or where do they tell people to evacuate to? Or do they just say, get the hell out of Lahaina? Was that the only message?
At first it was that, and then first it was get out, get out, get out, and then the shelters started to open up. The local stadium, basketball area, that was opened up. A whole bunch of schools opened up, and for emergency sheltering and community centers around parks.
Got it. Okay. So they were trying to they were setting up
Oh
various
yeah,
evacuation sites. And was that FEMA based? Was that local emergency management based, or was that just local municipalities like police and firefighters and EMTs setting that kind of stuff up?
it started off more as a community thing. Locals started to like pitch tents at like the mall's parking lot and stuff like that. Everyone was those who weren't in danger. They've they understood the need for community. So it was the locals and the neighbors that actually started the shelters and the tents and everything like that, and set meeting stations before the Red Cross, before FEMA, before any of that. It was only locals. The police force and the other emergency services, they're all busy doing their thing, guarding spots and so on. But for the first few hours, several hours, it was mostly a lot of people just grabbing food from their pantries and their freezers, and they were just coming down and going to most to these spots where people just started setting up. So it was a
S-
community before.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it was the community that took action quicker than any of the emergency management or Oprah or The Rock or anything like that.
I can just
Bingo.
imagine that type of community and the collection of different style chanclas that were all over. You were not getting away with anything without getting smacked in the back of the head with a chancla.
Yeah, is there like a MRE poi dish that I wasn't aware of or anything like that? Long-term
uh,
storage barbecue pork, maybe?
yeah, the barbecue pork.
Yeah.
I know you more recently, you evacuated from the Russian earthquake and the tsunami warning. How was the response to that as opposed to the fires in terms of notification timelines and warnings and evacuation points and things like that? How would you compare like the chaos of those two events? Was it a lot more controlled for the tsunami warnings?
I think so. Yes, it was handled way different. We had so much communication. They were bombarding us with text messages, radio messages, TV messages. Everything was just like up to the minute, how long the wave will hit, and so on and so forth. We were just given so much information all at once. I mean, not all at once, continuously. So I think what happened was they were watching Maui. They were watching Maui because they didn't want to have a Fire 2.0 thing. So um, watching the cops' response to traffic and blocking areas, it was like synchronized swimmers. They were doing everything in unison, and I was like, wow, all right, y'all learned your lesson. So it was way better.
So how did your evacuation plan change? How did your actual personal response change from the fires to the tsunami?
Well, I didn't take into account that my parents weren't going to be able to do anything. Um, because that day my mom had eye surgery. I just picked her up from the office, and then when I picked her from the office, that's when we started getting text messages. And my stepdad, he just got back from dialysis, so he was just drained. And so basically, I had to do like carry everything, all the luggage, all the food, all the meds, and everything like that. But before that, was trying to get gas. That was the scary part because as soon as I grabbed all the gas cans from the backyard and then ran to the truck and got to the nearest gas station, there was already a line, and that was like 10 minutes ago from the first text message. And then as soon as I got there, I started pumping. The lady came out and then she started to close each pump one at a time. And then as soon as she got to me, I'm like, I'm not done. I'm not finished. She's like, I need to close it down. I need to pick up my kids. All right. Well, I
Wow.
have three-quarters of the tank. I'm good. That should be good. I'll be fine. So that was crazy. I didn't know how quick everything would shut down before before all this stuff started to happen. So that was interesting.
That's crazy. And we don't think about that often, that even if the infrastructure still exists, let's say the power's still working, like as it was for the tsunami, and the gas station is still open, you don't think about the fact that the people that work there have families and they have better places to be. And so
Yes.
that's just this added cog in the wheel, this cog in the risk matrix that you normally don't think about. And obviously you probably didn't have, tsunami, eye surgery, and dialysis all on your risk matrix for the same day. So that's almost like the
No.
perfect storm, right?
Yeah. It was like um Murphy's Law was happening, but it was called it's Billy Luck for me. So yeah, it was
Billy
like
luck.
that. Yeah,
I like the Billy Luck.
It's Billy
yeah.
luck.
So, what after both of those experiences, and obviously everything else that you've gone through? I mean, I know you were stationed in Germany for a while and went through shit over there with earthquakes growing up and Kilauea volcano and everything like that.
Yeah.
But with these two experiences, kind of looking at it through the I survived that lens,
Hmm.
what are some of the key takeaways that you would recommend for somebody who's going to live in Hawaii or has to take care of elderly parents? What are some of the key takeaways that you got from your own response?
Organization is key. It's like since COVID, I've been like building up my stockpile of everything. And so, but the thing is, I have everything, all the bells and whistles, but everything was jumbled up. Like I have meds here, I have water purification here, lighting, so on, food, but they weren't they weren't planned out for bugging in and bugging out. They're all in my closet. They're all right there. But for me, it was like, what do I take? Because since it's 2025, things have been happening a lot lately. So I'm thinking, what is the aftermath? Like, am I going to be sleeping in a tent? Am I going to be in a refugee camp kind of thing? As like I don't know what the afterward, because if a super huge wave wiped out, because the Central Valley is super duper low, so if that if everything was gone or at least damaged, no gas is coming in, no electricity will be working. So I'm thinking, what happens afterwards? Because I know FEMA took forever, and they do take forever. They really, really do. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of red tape, and we saw that. So then that was in my brain, like, what happens after? What do I have to survive like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month out? So I was trying to pile in more spam, you know, more bottled water. It was just I didn't know how much to take with me. That was the problem.
Gotcha. And is it the Gokujang flavored spam that you can get?
No, it's the low sodium stuff because I'm getting older. Yeah.
Wait, is there a special Hawaiian flavor of spam I didn't know about?
Oh, there are many, many. Yeah,
Really? No kidding.
yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I've just seen the basic, the spam. I didn't know there was special spam.
Oh, there's spam for every flavor.
We just need to get you a Costco membership, AC, and
I guess
plus
so.
up your
Yeah, no,
prepping
they just don't
supplies.
have it. They don't have the crazy spams at my Costco's. But I have been looking for those spam singles lately, Chris. That those are going in the go bag now.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, they are.
but so in the immediate aftermath of that fire, what were the things that people were coming up short on immediately? The people that were completely affected by this, people that had left their homes and lost everything. It sounds like the community showed up in force with the food and the water. So was it those are the things I think of that you need the food, the water, the shelter, but was it something else? Was it something weird? Like, was it the hygiene stuff? What was it that those people ran out of first?
They really wanted communication. So the power lines burned down, the telephone lines burned down, all that stuff burned down. So the way Maui is shaped, it's like a figure eight. So the road goes in a figure eight. So the only road going into Lahaina was stopped. So the only way was through jet ski and boat, basically. And people were being brought back and forth through that. So what people were really, really hankering on is like communication. They wanted radios, basically. They wanted two-way radios to coordinate stuff because they knew we all saw that everyone was trying to get information and trying to find their loved ones. And so people who were there, they couldn't like communicate and call out, "Hey, we're a pocket of people here, we're a pocket of people over there." So that was the one thing, just straight up communication was one thing that we really was hurting on.
That's really interesting, and I mean, it seems like everywhere else in the country we've got just a bunch of old men, World War II vets that just come out of the woodwork with ham radios whenever something
Right?
happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they just not? Do you just not have a collection of old ham radio operators in Hawaii? Is that it?
I mean, it's been a bit, so the World War was a long, long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
I want to bring up something about the roads that you brought up, and I don't want to go too far into conspiracy theory, evil people, whatever. But in the aftermath of both the Lahaina fires and the tsunami warnings, I've seen a bunch of things about Oprah's big ranch that she's got out there, and from
Yeah,
what
we
I
all know the ranch.
understand, there's okay. So you just refer to it as the ranch,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but from what I understand, there's one private road and there was no access allowed on that road. So that limits your evacuation routes to very, very specific choke points. How do you feel that that impacted things? And I have a follow on question, but I kind of want to see your answer to this one first. Like, how do you feel that that one road would have made a difference?
I'm just gonna say this, and then I think Oprah's an evil person. No, well, the thing is, it's like people were evacuating, and then but the police were blocking her road. I guess, celebrities here on Maui, or the rich on Maui, they have a little more sway for the local authorities. So when the evacuations started really happening, a lot of cops were parked out um, in front of that entrance uh, through Oprah's ranch. So it was like, all right, we didn't learn from the fire and we didn't learn from the tsunami. It was like it took a while before they opened the road. Yes, rich people and celebrities are really a interesting class when it comes to their neighbors. So
And
yeah,
that does bring up my second question. And this is entirely your opinion, so
okay,
feel
I'll
free
take
to
it.
respond however. Do you feel like in an emergency situation, the police in the state or in the area should have had the right to enact via force majeure, basically eminent domain? There we go. Do you feel that
Yeah.
the police should have been able to open up that road through eminent domain and or force majeure?
I believe they should have. I believe they should have had communication with property owners, trying to understand the gravity of the situation. Um, but the thing is, on Maui, private property is just private property, um, regardless of the situation outside. So when it came to emergencies, um, it was weird because instead of helping the police helping us, it was more of a how can we protect her property so we don't have like people just driving out on her ranch. So it was like, yeah, no, it's a rich people thing. I guess
Wow.
I don't know,
No,
but yeah,
that's really interesting. I had no idea. So, in your perspective, that government initial response, you really think that they had not just the citizens of Lahaina's best interest in mind, but they were really playing political games with that initial response. Do you think it was did they simply have the best interests of the citizens of Lahaina in mind, or were they also playing some political games and thinking about, what does this mean for our relationship with the rich people on the island if we let people, run all over their
right,
property or something?
right. The initial response usually is protect private property, regardless, no matter what. Private property is the most is king basically on Maui. So when things certain things happen, um, security, regular police officers and so on and so forth, they are more positioned towards um protecting them for a bit until it gets like really really bad. Then the actual hey let's take care of our people first starts to kick in. So the usual initial response is them first, and if it gets really bad, then we'll start like you know taking care of everybody else.
And that was kind of it leads into my next question is that does the attitude change with your within your first responder organizations when you go from local to Maui County to state to federal agencies? Do you see that attitude changing, or is pretty much everybody with a badge interested in protecting the the wealthier people and their private property first.
Uh, it's a weird thing because all the police officers, well, a good majority of them, um, are from here. They grew up here. They know what
Sure.
how things work. So it's like but as soon as it starts to affect like your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, and that's when attitudes start to change where it's like, okay, well, we're really going to take care of our older people right now and all this stuff. And so the resources start to like go away from like the roads and the private houses and stuff like that. Then so you can usually start to see when those things start to thin out. And then once you start to see things thin out, then it's like then um the communities actually the police are helping, not protecting the that guy kind of thing.
So, do you? I mean, obviously the tsunami, it was a big scare. I mean, an 8.8 earthquake
Yeah,
is
yeah,
pretty solid shake, but it ended
yeah.
up being no significant damage, just very small areas of localized flooding. The fires are a completely different story, though, because there were hundreds of buildings lost, hundreds of homes. I mean, do you still see any long term response effort going on from FEMA or other federal or state agencies when you're on the island? Do you still see those people hanging out with a tool belt on trying to rebuild?
Yes and no. So we've been getting when the fire started, there was an outpouring from the entire planet of people just sending us goods and tiny homes and so on and so forth. So it was with all that, they were basically trying to um, uh, basically create a new camp or a new community just for them until we start to actually really rebuild. So people are still doing the FEMA thing, but the offices have moved from the main places to their actual government buildings and so on. So as of right now, it's mostly all old donations from the past from then are building temporary homes for them. So they are here, but in a smaller capacity now. But the resources have been continuous.
I mean, because this was 2 years ago, almost exactly now. We saw with Katrina, we had like the tiny homes and the FEMA camps. I mean, they went on for years and years. So um, I don't know if it's obviously less people are affected or it's a easier disaster to recover from, maybe. But it's interesting that you're not seeing this still a full court press from FEMA. I mean, obviously, all these homes aren't rebuilt yet or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. As far as rebuilding, there is a lot of red tape still. A lot of my friends and family still haven't received certain insurance claims and things like that. Um, but so Lahaina is still really still a burnt out shell currently. As far as like the infrastructure, like the water, the sewers, all that stuff like that, it's still they're still putting things together, and it's been 2 years, right? So it's you would think something like this would take a little bit faster, but
Hmm.
it, it's still ongoing. So it's
And
still.
we talk. I don't know if you can talk, firsthand about this kind of stuff, but we do talk a lot about, insurance as a prep. If what are some of the hurdles that people are going through with insurance? Do you have friends and family that are having issues with their insurance, and what are those issues they're having without getting their money or being able to rebuild and those kinds of things? Is it permitting, or is it literally insurance companies giving you a hard time about things?
For the first several months, a lot of people had a super hard time trying to get their claims to actually be processed. So I guess it was weird because like people would be they have their paperwork, they have what they need, but the response time from insurance companies took a long while to actually, recognize, process, and actually um, give the money that these people were owed. So it when it comes to insurance, it takes a long time, especially for like if an entire city just burnt down. So I guess the claims are just like so much. So when it comes to insurance, I would say have your own money first, because insurance companies they they like to they like to collect your money, but they also like to hold on to it for a while. So that's what from what I've experienced and heard and seen.
So with the overall response, did you ever get a solid 100% answer on what caused the Lahaina fire? I know the tsunamis, yeah, it's an earthquake, it's going to do that.
Yeah,
But did
yeah.
you ever get an actual like non-suspicious, we actually figured out what caused this fire in the first place?
No, no. After, well, it's a lot of misinformation. Um, some claim, the power lines and so on and so forth. And so everyone's leaning towards that. So, but when it actually came to like solid answers, that took a long time before we actually all started thinking about the power lines doing all that stuff. So it was the yes, the answer did what was a solid. It seemed pretty logical. What they were telling us, was seemed logical. So we were all basically going for that. And so it just took a while before they actually gave us real solid information.
Okay, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there about directed
Yeah,
energy weapons and
Oh
blue
yeah,
roofs
man,
and
blue
you're right. Yeah,
roofs and Oprah just
yeah.
wants to extend the ranch and oh, we could go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, the first several days actually, there was so many conspiracy theories that we couldn't tell what was the truth and what was real because everyone believed what they were saying and what they were hearing was to be true. So information was the hard part and the scary part because we didn't know who to believe. Do we? It was like what they were saying on the radio, what the officials were saying, and so on. It's like but we could hear we're saying people on the ground were saying this thing, but the reactions are different on that thing. So it was like all this information. Everyone had their opinion, everyone had their theories, everyone had thing, and we just didn't know who to believe.
Yeah, that's the problem when you let TikTok control the narrative. Then you start going
Yeah,
down
yeah,
some rabbit holes. If the emergency management doesn't step up and take control of the
yeah,
the narrative quickly, then yeah, you're gonna turn to
yeah,
those sources where you got information in the first place, which obviously
yeah.
was TikTok. And yeah, I think we all saw some pretty bizarre stuff on TikTok after the line of fires.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting time.
so in the recovery, I mean, that it's a long time to recover from that. And you said you're not seeing a whole lot of people still sticking around even after the donation money is still there. It hasn't all been spent, we don't think. Um, but it definitely takes a long time to recover. Did you see in the immediate aftermath, did you see any societal problems breaking out, like brawls or riots or looting or violence at some of these more concentrated like rescue camps set up by the community? Did you see any of that or experience it?
I think the thing about Maui and Hawaii in general is we have the, aloha spirit, basically community. We all had this whole community. Yes, there was here and there some looters and some bad actors here and there, but for the most part, we all have this understanding that we are on an island. We only have each other. So, from what I saw was a lot more people working together as a community and not relying on the the powers that be to actually tell us how to take care of ourselves. They were there. I'm just gonna. To me, it felt like they were there for just paperwork. It didn't feel like we're here to help. It just felt like we need to do our red tape paperwork and so on and so forth kind of approach instead of like we're here to help your community. It felt very cold, you could say.
I gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really amazing to hear because, Chris and I, we've talked about this before, just the psychology of group survival and group dynamics. But What you're talking about is we rarely, I think, do we discuss like culture coming into that. But you're right. You have the aloha spirit. It's just a communal culture because you're saying, yeah, you're on an island, but you know what? Haiti's an island too. And
Yeah,
they had a vastly different recovery after they had a
the
large scale
earthquakes.
event being the earthquakes. And you're right. I think just maybe it is that the aloha culture came into play, and it's really nice to hear that, yeah, the community stepped up and you really didn't have that large scale violence and looting and things we've seen in other
Right.
areas of the globe when you have these catastrophic events happen. That's actually really amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a saying, no one on Maui has boyfriends or girlfriends. Everyone takes turns. So we all know each other. So we gotta help each other, I guess. I don't know.
So we're obviously going to wrap up in a little bit, but so a couple of like I'd like just to ask about, for our listeners, what's a piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to be better prepared for these kinds of modern day emergencies? You've said organization, is that the big one? Are there other things you can think of that if you had to give someone one piece of advice that was going to get a last minute emergency notice that, hey, you've got to go, what's that piece of advice you would give someone?
I think it would be to actually practice packing. Like do the drill. Do the drill. Like I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna grab that. I know what I'm gonna get from my medicine cabinet and so forth. It's like just like the fire drills at school. You just have to do it once in a while to at least have an idea. Instead of the first time during the fire, I was sort of like running around with like a chicken with its head cut off. I was just like, I need this, that, and this, and this, that. So practice, 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 practice. You know, just like just like basic training. It's like, hey, you got to practice and do all these things in order to like have that muscle memory. And that's how it felt for me when doing it. Is like you need to practice at least once or twice to just see how fast you can actually knock something out. Because you always think home is going to be the place you're going to be. You have all your supplies, so you have everything here, but you never know, oh, I really do need to like leave my house right now. So practice.
Yeah, we do talk about that. That's great to hear because we do talk about practicing your preps a lot. When when you got everything out and whatever splayed out on the lawn or trying to load it into the car and you've got all your gear and you said, here's what I know I need to take, and I've got the dogs and the food, and the meds and all that. Did you find yourself playing Tetris with your vehicle and not and having too much stuff, or were you actually able to take everything that you decided you needed to take?
There was some stuff that for the most part, I got the basics out of the way. The things that I knew we really need, food, snacks, whatever. And so for me, it was just as long as I have the main thing that'll like keep me alive. And then after that was basically anything that was extra. I packed
Hmm.
in folding chairs and I packed in like pillows and stuff like that. Just because most of evacuations and things like that, it's all about sitting and waiting. There's like a lot. You can run around and like freak out, but then once that part is over, you're like, okay, I need a soft place to sit. So
So it's a lot like the Air Force.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hurry up and wait.
so
yeah.
so I have a question, and you may not have an answer to this, but I do want to know. So you've got everything. You said, I've got to go. I pulled all this stuff out. I'm playing Tetris with the car. I've got shit all over the front lawn. What are the first things that didn't make the cut? What are the things that you thought you needed when you left the house, and then you ended up leaving those in the driveway when you couldn't fit them into the vehicle?
The 5 gallon jugs of water. I thought, okay, what if the water cuts off, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever happens. So I'm thinking, okay, I ran to the bathroom and filled those things up, like because I do have my already 7 gallon water ready to go, but I figured it couldn't hurt to have extra. But then as soon as I started to really really pack everything, I'm like, I guess all this water and all these other supplies that I think will help through a survival situation. It didn't make the cut because it's like I'm thinking long term and how much space I have. So water was the thing, but uh getting out was the more important thing. So as long as I had enough water to survive the first week, I was like, all right, then I don't need to have the extra.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I get it now that, like, trying to put myself in your position because you're thinking, "How bad does this have to be for us to not have water? It rains every
Yeah,
damn day here, right?" So,
yeah,
it'd be tough to actually run out of water, and I get that. That's very interesting
yeah,
because I think that that answer would change kind of depending on location and depending on
yeah,
what the
yeah,
disaster was, but that's interesting that
exactly.
it's yeah, you've got big, heavy water and you're going, "I
Yeah,
how much do I actually need?"
yeah.
You may know this, but I'm not sure i- people on Maui, how many people have access to their own desalinization? Are there people that you know? Is that like only rich people, or are there just prepper type people that have a means to desalinate water, or is it more like rain catch barrel stuff for their extra
Uh,
spare
it's
water?
it's mostly catchment and the old irrigation ditches when Maui used to be a sugarcane island. So
Hmm.
a lot of the ditches, all of the older infrastructure, we know is set to be reliable. So even though if we're dead and dried and parched on one side, the other side will always provide water for us. So old infrastructure for some odd reason was more reliable than the new stuff. So yeah. When the
That's awesome.
winds, yeah, when the winds blow, um, power, there's always glitchy power whenever like the new power lines they get hit with like a 20, 30 miles, then there's always some kind of weird glitch. But like old infrastructure like water, that's always going to be reliable. And I've come to realize I shouldn't worry about certain things that I know are plentiful on Maui. So I guess that's basically my thought process on that.
And since, in particular, the Lahaina fires, since that has happened, has there been any announcement, or I guess one, has there been any sort of apology from the government at any level? Or have you seen any announcements of like Maui County emergency response updating their plans or updating their response plans? Have you seen or heard anything about that coming from official channels?
As far as apologies go, in the beginning, it's sort of like, yeah, sorry, kind of thing. But it's sort of like we sort of got like from the government, sort of like, hey, another day happened. This shitty thing happened, and like, okay, um, but we're doing better now. We're doing so much. We're doing this for you. We're doing that for you. So it wasn't really an apology. It's more like we're gonna do better. But what happened. Act of God, whatever. Yeah. But as far as actual information and things like that, um, they've up they've updated all their systems for communication, and they give you updates for everything now. So if there's a high surf advisory or high winds, etc., we get like every single text message from because they started rolling out a new they call it a Genesis system. I don't know what the Genesis means, but yeah, they put the entire emergency management on this system, so all phones will get all the information as they receive their info.
And do you feel like that was one of those, oh, we know we fucked this one up bad, we're not going to do that again?
Yes, yes, because I think any kind of disaster that now happens on Maui, they know that people, especially the media, will find will find stories and they will try and like dig down deep. So their response is now we will give you all the information that we have. Don't hang us. Don't tar and feather us kind of thing. So yeah, it was they learned their lesson after that.
That's probably a good thing. AC, do you have one more?
I maybe I'm just trying to get you to pay us a compliment or something, but I'm just wondering, you're a regular listener to the podcast. Is there any
Yeah,
information that you received from us over the last 50 episodes that helped, I guess, shape your preparedness at all before any disasters?
I think with your podcast, I love how humorous it is. It puts like like the fire stuff with your Beavis and Butthead one. That was pretty cool. It's those little things that make a hard topic not so hard to accept, kind of thing. You guys help with that humor to kind of make sure you know what you're doing. You don't have to be like a strict person about it. It's very easy to take.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. We try to keep it a little lighthearted because yeah, it is. There's a whole lot of boring stuff that Chris and I drone on about every week. So we got to do what we can to keep it a little more exciting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got to keep them engaged.
Yep. And we really do truly appreciate you coming on and sharing your first person, like direct observation stories. Cause I know it's not something that's easy to talk about. Anytime there's trauma involved, it's always a little, I don't know
Yeah,
if I want to talk about that, but it,
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
courage to just even speak about it is amazing. And we really do truly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. And it's really cool for us to really have someone come on firsthand and you're reiterating this firsthand experience of some of the theoretical things Chris and I talk about all the time about, government is slow to respond, but when they do, it's kind of like a freight train and it's hard to slow it down. And
Yeah.
you don't want to just sit around and rely on the government if you want to survive. And you're sort of, you lived through the things that I think we try to say every week. So it's really
Yeah.
refreshing for us to kind of say, you know what, maybe we're on the right track with some of this stuff.
Yeah. I wish I got into prepping a long time ago. I would be a millionaire.
All those bunkers under Hawaii.
Yeah.
They've
Oh
got the
yeah.
Billy brand on them.
Yeah. That's right.
What questions do you have for us?
Do you guys have any giveaways?
Oh yeah, we'll ship you a bunch of stuff. Absolutely, we'll ship some Grim cards and some stickers over and all.
All right. I'm down like
Yeah,
Monkey Town.
we'll get you as much swag as you want to help
Awesome.
display around the islands.
Yeah, and I will totally like put it on my TikTok because TikTok nowadays.
Yeah,
Go
that's
viral.
that's the last thing I was going to ask is how do people watch your TikTok? What is your handle? How do they get a hold of you and see because you do a daily positivity video, right?
Right, yeah. The world is a very scary, scary place, and sometimes you just need to feel comfortable every once in a while. Hear words of comfort sometimes. Nothing, political, nothing religious, just straight up, hey, the world outside is really bad, but it's not too horrible. It's fine. Everything is fine. So, uh, Billy Joe Galassi, I'm the only Billy Joe Galassi in the entire like universe. You will never find that handle anywhere. So check it out, Billy Joe Galassi, TikTok.
We will definitely tag your page in our blog post and make sure that you get
Awesome.
due credit. But
Thank you very much.
Billy, truly, this has been an honor and a privilege. I wish you the best of luck and thank you again for coming on. This has been an amazing learning experience because we don't often get to see the firsthand stories being told, and definitely keep telling your story because it's awesome.
Well, thanks for letting me share it, and you guys are really awesome, and I hope to be on your show again.
Absolutely. All right. Well, stick around. Next week, we have another different direction. We're not going to drop any spoilers on that one yet, but believe it or not, this is episode 50. That means in 2 weeks, that's episode 52. That's a whole year that you have been listening to us ramble on. So, we are going to have some giveaways coming up. We are also going to be changing our theme music a little bit. So, be
Hey.
ready and excited for that one. And tune in next week. We will see you then.